Hello everyone and welcome. You probably hear about dioxins, PCBs and also furans in terms of environmental contamination. But what are they? How are they made? What are they used for? And the most important thing what health effects do they produce? Well, I'm Jose M Fdez. I'm studied at Universidad Politécnica de Madrid in a chemical engineer degree with a specialization of environmental process. And I'm here to answer those questions. First of all, we have a look at these chemicals, then I explain where they came from, the sources of these compounds, and finally I'm talk about the health effects. Okay, first of all, I'm talk about dioxins. In chemistry we call dioxin to this, but in environmental the most toxic dioxin is the one that calls chlorodibenzo-dioxin. Okay, and we use the term dioxin to refer this type of dioxin. What are they used for? Well, we don't produce dioxin per se, except if we talk about wars. Specifically in the Vietnam wars, they do a mixture of herbicides and dioxin to produce that they call Agent Orange. That is a powerful chemical defoliant. A chemical defoliant is a chemical that remove the leaves of the trees and make a desert zone. Okay. But in the industry, we don't produce dioxin to a purpose. We synthesize herbicides to apply to plants, and in this synthesis, there are sites reaction that produce these dioxins. Move on PCBs. PCBs is the acronym. PCB is the acronym of polychlorinated biphenyls. And how are they made? Well, is if we combined biphenyl with chlorine when we have a catalyst, they produce PCBs. And also, if we have a source of oxygen, it produces furans. What are they used for? The PCBs. PCBs, they are insoluble in water. They are cheap to produce, and they are excellent electrical insulators. That's why it used as a coolant fluid in many types of machines. Well, once this summary is done, let's move on the sources. In agriculture, if we use herbicides, the dioxins and furans enters to the food chains immediately. In the old industry that don't have environmental control, they just threw away machines with PCBs, and these PCBs easily go to the land and contaminate it. and immediately enter to the food chain. Another important industry in relation with this compound is the pulp and paper industry that use chlorine to bleach the pulp, and if we combine chlorine with organic compounds we produce dioxins. And also we have sources if in intentional fire of PVCs or in forest. Then if we have heat and chlorine in the atmosphere, an atmosphere with chlorine, it produces dioxins, PCBs, and well, okay. And as I mentioned, in words, in the dead zone that they call, the dead zone is contaminated by these chemicals. And now moving to the health effects, there are two ways of analyze this chemical. One's experimenting animals, and the second one analyzing the blood of humans that are accidentally exposed to these chemicals. There are several studies and experiments in this area, but they don't have evidence or conclusion, but is the exposure to these chemicals has a relation with cancer and visual recognition and difficult to have an abstract reasoning. And also if we have a high doses of organic chlorine compounds, we get intoxicate, or what we call chloroacne, that the Ukrainian President Viktor Yushchenko, sorry if I don't pronounce well, has, and you have here some image of him. And well, that's all for my part. I hope you get bored, and thanks for your attention.